Eda, we have just received important news from France. We are talking about Marine Le Pen, one of the leading figures of the far right and the National Union Party. She was on trial for embezzling European Union funds, and she was found guilty in that case. She was given a 5-year political ban, and now she is going to appeal. What happened, or rather, how did this decision come about? Now, first of all, with what
was accused. Let me start with that exactly. She was accused of actually using the funds provided by the European Union for the National Union Party, and she was found guilty. How does this happen? For example, they have hired for themselves not only Marine Le Pen, we are talking about 20 people from her party. They have assistants they hire for themselves. They pay them with funding from the European Parliament. So they can actually use these assistants only for their work for the European Parliament. But what do? They use them for work for the National Unity Party. So they are accused of using this funding from the European Parliament to pay National Unity Party staff. So they are accused of embezzlement. That is why they were found guilty. So what the judge actually underlined in court yesterday was this. So we are not talking about personal enrichment here. We are talking about the enrichment of the party. Now, why do we characterize this as a decision that created an earthquake effect in French politics? Extremism has actually gained momentum in Europe in recent years, but before that, we are talking about a far right that was more marginalized, that was actually seen as more harmful, that is just gaining momentum. And Le Pen, especially after taking over the party from his father, which was called the National Front at the time, changed its name to National Unity. And with the steps he took afterwards, he actually gave the party a new momentum. And he ran for president 3 times. In 2022, he managed to get the highest percentage of votes in the history of the far right in France, close to 13 million votes. So Le Pen is a very important figure for the party. Just in time for the party. And the European Parliament elections were beginning to gain momentum. This is exactly what occurred. According to reports in the French press, the force behind a symbolic leader has been shattered. Le Pen, who was the favored candidate for the presidential election in 2027, did not anticipate this turn of events. He was expecting a political ban, but he believed that he would have the opportunity to appeal. Le Pen's belief was that until the appeal process was completed, his candidacy would remain unaffected. However, the court ruling stated otherwise. He has been banned from running for public office for 5 years, effective immediately. As a result, he is disqualified from the 2027 election. Worth mentioning, Le Pen currently holds the position of an MP. He will continue to serve as a member of parliament, but his aspirations for future electoral office shall be forever tainted. It is important to note that the punishment extends beyond a mere political ban. It encompasses 4 additional years. He's serving a prison sentence. 2 years of this was suspended. 2 years of house arrest with electronic handcuffs. On top of that, there is a fine of 100,000 euros. But this house arrest and fine part will not be applied until the clean result. So only the political ban is now actually directly in effect. Now, Le Pen left the courtroom yesterday when this verdict was announced. Even before the verdict was announced, he was very angry. You could see the anger on his face. All the French press wrote about it. Then in the evening, he appeared on TV in the French press. He made statements. He said that this decision is a political decision. This step was taken to prevent my candidacy for the presidency. If you are a person who is committed to democracy and the rule of law, you should already react to this decision. He also addressed the French and his supporters and said, these obstacles, this injustice will be an even more driving force for me. I will not give up the struggle. Now, the question before us here is the question that all the French press is talking about. So what awaits the National Unity Party after this? So in 2027, Le Pen would be the candidate. Now,
will it be? They had a candidate for prime minister, a young man, always broadcasting live on social media. Have you traveled with Le Pen?
29-year-old Bardella, who also posts on TikTok, which you and I have always talked about before. Now Bardella is seen as a possible candidate, a potential candidate. Yesterday, of course, Bardella immediately expressed his reaction after this decision was announced and said that this is a blow to French democracy. Of course, this is how Le Pen and his supporters characterize this decision, because Le Pen does not accept the accusations in any way. But now there are two camps here. One group does not support Bardella's candidacy for the presidency at all because they say that at the age of 29, he doesn't have enough experience for a position like the presidency. But now when I read the French press yesterday, I came across some striking analyses. They say that the Party of National Unity, in fact, the political death of Le Pen, could be the rebirth of national unity. Why? Because finally national unity will get rid of the name Le Pen. And there is a negative perspective that comes with that name. Exactly. Now Bardella is a young name that can help the national unity to appeal to a wider audience. And this is what analysts are actually saying. Yes, supporters of national unity will continue to say publicly, the will of the people has been targeted, democracy has been thwarted, Le Pen was our candidate for president. They will express their reaction to this. But in the background, they will rejoice at this development, because a new path for national unity has been opened. There are those who say that this Le Pen era will be over. This part is important. Now, of course, this development has had a huge repercussion across Europe. Messages of support for Le Pen have poured in from Europe's far-right leaders. For example, Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban made a post in French yesterday. He said, "Je suis marine." In other words, he showed his support by saying, "I am a marine." Wilders from the Netherlands, who we often talk about with his statements against Turkey, he also said that he will either clear it or he will take this job. He even said that he believes he will become president. Italy's Deputy Prime Minister Salvini said that this decision is actually a declaration of war by Brussels, and we are not afraid. We will not stop. Okay, gas forward. Now here we are.
Would he have told you? Didn't he come?
Promise? When it comes to the far right, in Europe we always talk about the relations of these far right leaders with Russia. Marine Le Pen was always criticized for her closeness to Russia. Yesterday, Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov also made a statement and said that more and more European capitals are violating democratic norms. Such a reaction came from there as well. Now here I would like to open a separate topic for the US. I would like to focus on the reactions from the US because there are more striking details there. Now, first of all, of course, who couldn't resist making a statement? Elon Musk on social media.
I was going to say bot, but what did he say?
Elon Musk said that he made very striking statements. He likened the process a little bit to Donald Trump's ongoing lawsuit before the November 5th presidential elections. He likened it a bit to that process and said that, like the legal attacks on President Trump, this would backfire. So he said that Marine Le Pen would actually benefit. But what was really striking was this. Now he says, when the radical left cannot win through democratic voting, they abuse the legal system and jail their opponents. And this is their standard game around the world. Plan. In other words, Trump has recently started to emphasize this discourse, which he always characterizes as a witch hunt. Now, a few weeks ago, Netanyahu made almost the same statement. Netanyahu, too, is currently being prosecuted for corruption, bribery, and abuse of office. Netanyahu also came out and said that whenever strong right-wing leaders win in America and Israel, the leftist deep state uses the justice system to block the will of the people. So here Netanyahu, Trump, Musk are using such a discourse, but yesterday, Donald Trump's son made a statement at Trump Jr. Now he is also very remarkable because he says, first of all, is France putting Le Pen in jail or trying to prevent his candidacy? And secondly, are they trying to prove that G.D. Vance is right? Now, G.D. Vance, the Vice President of the United States, you will remember at the Munich Security Conference, he made a speech that shocked all the Western leaders, and he gave a democracy lesson to Europe, and he said that what I am worried about is not the threat from Russia or China, but the threat from within, and Europe's moving away from its common values with America, and he criticized that. You exclude the far right. You exclude it from government formation processes. You don't even invite far-right leaders to the Munich Security Conference. All this, he said, is a blow to freedom of expression. Now, therefore, I would like to criticize G.D. Vance's statements a little bit here. As if he had fallen into a position of vindication in the eyes of the Trump administration.